A poor girl buys a metro ticket for an unknown millionaire. What the millionaire does shocks everyone. Dear Golden Heart Stories family. In this story, millionaire Frank Carter experiences unexpected kindness after an incident on the dangerous streets of New York. The pure kindness of Mira, a poor bakery worker, turns Frank's world upside down. However, great secrets, family pressures, and threats from the past await the two hearts from different social classes. Will true love triumph over money and power? Join us on this emotional journey, where you will experience moments that will make you laugh, cry, and leave you breathless. Before we move on to our story, dear viewers, please mention in the comments where you are watching us from, and don't forget to rate the story between 1 and 10 at the end. Where is this scumbag? Frank Carter muttered as he walked through the dark streets of Bedford-Stuyvesant. Groups of people waiting in front of buildings on every corner eyed him. His Armani suit was not ideal for wandering this neighborhood at midnight, but he didn't care. His only thought was to find Jack Morrison and settle the score. 3 days ago, he couldn't stop thinking about the moment that bastard bumped into him deliberately and started a fight. "Apologize!" Jack shouted, but without waiting for an apology, he threw a punch. Frank later realized that he had stolen the 1940 Patek Philippe watch that he had inherited from his grandfather, Cornelius, during the fight. He was going to get it back, no matter the cost. "Hey, rich boy!" When Frank turned around, he saw that 3 men had surrounded him. The man in the black hoodie standing in front of him smiled mockingly. "What are you doing around here at this hour? I'd be surprised if you weren't lost." "I'm just looking for someone," Frank replied calmly, feeling his heart start to race. "You won't find anyone here." "But we found you." The man approached, his breath smelling of alcohol. "Take out your wallet quickly." Frank's throat went dry. He knew the police weren't close by in this neighborhood. "Listen, I'm just here to—" "I said take it out." The man pushed Frank hard in the chest. Frank stumbled. The other men gathered around him and approached. Realizing he was helpless, Frank slowly took out his wallet. "Take this. Just let me go." The hooded man grabbed the wallet and emptied its contents onto the street. Dollars flew in the wind. "Wow, who carries this much cash? You're a real rich bastard." Then, he looked at the Rolex on Frank's wrist. "This becomes ours too." "No." Frank pulled his hand back. "Not that watch. I'm looking for a different one. This one's not important." A punch hit Frank in the chin. He fell to the ground, blood flowing from his mouth, his head spinning. The other men pounced on him, stealing his phone, car keys, and even his shoes. Frank lay on the ground as the men walked away laughing. An hour later, Frank staggered barefoot and bloody to the Nostrand Avenue metro station. Security guard Marcus looked at him in amazement. "My God! What happened to you?" "I was mugged. No phone, no money. I just want to go home." Frank's voice was shaky and his lip was swollen. "I'll call the police right away." "You need an ambulance too?" "No, just— Can I buy a ticket?" "I'll pay for it tomorrow, I promise." Marcus frowned. "It's against the rules. No money, no entry." "It's not up to me. Please. I'm Frank Carter. I'm from Carter Industries. You might know." "Who are you?" "This isn't your private service. Go to the police." Frank looked around desperately. There were a few people at the station for such a late hour. At that moment, the young woman standing next to him stepped forward. "Excuse me," she said politely. "I'll buy his ticket." Frank turned to face a woman with brown eyes and a warm smile. She appeared to be about 20 years old with hair falling to her shoulders. She took money from her bag and headed to the MetroCard machine. "No, you don't need to do this," Frank began, feeling embarrassed. "I was buying one for myself anyway. I'll get an extra one." The woman smiled. "Everyone has tough times. Looking at you, it's clear today wasn't your day." Marcus grumbled, but the woman bought the tickets and handed one to Frank. "Thank you so much," Frank said, touching the woman's fingers as he took the ticket. Her hands were clean, unlike Frank's. "How can I repay you for this?" "No need. Just help someone else someday." The metro arrived and they both got on. Frank sat in the seat across from the woman and tried to fix his appearance. "I'm Mira," the woman said, introducing herself in a genuine tone of voice. "Frank, I'm really grateful for what you did." Mira looked Frank over. His shirt was torn and he had scratches on his face. "If you were mugged, you should go to the hospital. You look seriously injured." "I'm fine. It's just my pride that's hurt." Frank gave a bitter smile. "I actually had no business being in that neighborhood. It was a stupid decision." "Then why did you go?" Frank hesitated. How much could he tell this stranger? "I was looking for someone. To get back something he stole." Was what he stole important? Very important. It was a family heirloom. There was deep sadness in Frank's voice. "It was my grandfather's last gift." Mira nodded, understanding. "I'm sorry. I hope you find the person who took it and get it back." "I hope so too. But it seems very difficult right now." As the metro approached Union Square, Mira stood up. "This is my stop." Frank also stood up. "How can I repay this kindness? At least let me buy you coffee." "I told you, help someone else." As Mira walked to the door, she turned around. "And be careful. New York can be ruthless, especially to good-hearted people like you." The subway stopped and Mira got off. Frank watched her walk away through the window. He knew he would never forget her warm smile and unexpected kindness. The next morning, Frank Carter looked out at Manhattan from the wide windows of his penthouse, thinking about the previous night's event. Getting mugged and not finding Jack, everything had gone wrong. But something was different. That woman, Mira. She hadn't left his mind all night. "Diego," he called to his driver. "Get ready. We're going out." Diego Rivera had been Frank's driver for 5 years. He knew his boss's moods well, but there was a different energy this morning. "Where to, Mr. Carter?" "We're looking for someone," Frank said, adjusting his tie. "We'll tour the bakeries in Manhattan." "Bakery?" Diego was surprised. Frank never ate sweet. "There's a place called Sweet Dreams Bakery. A woman mentioned it last night." Diego opened the navigation app. There seemed to be 3 Sweet Dreams in Manhattan. "Which one should we start with?" "We'll check them all. I need to find that woman." The first bakery was in the East Village. When Frank went inside, an elderly Chinese woman greeted him. "Welcome. What would you like?" "Does someone named Mira work here?" "Mira? No, there's no one like that. Only my daughter and I work here." Frank left, disappointed. Diego gave him a second address, a small bakery in Midtown. "I'm looking for Mira," Frank said to the young man at the counter. "Who's Mira, bro? Only men work here." As they headed to the third stop, Frank became more and more frustrated. "Maybe I'm remembering her name wrong. Maybe she mentioned a different neighborhood," Diego suggested. "We should search Brooklyn too." But Frank insisted. "No, she said she worked in Manhattan. Maybe it's a different name." Then it occurred to him. Mira had clearly said, Sweet Dreams Bakery. But maybe this was just a general type of bakery and not a specific one. He turned to Diego. "List all the bakeries. We'll go to each one." For the next 2 days, they scoured every corner of Manhattan. They went from Soho to the Upper West Side and from Little Italy to Chinatown. Frank went into every bakery asking about Mira. Employees looked at him strangely. Why was this wealthy, suited man so insistently looking for a bakery worker? On the evening of the third day, Frank returned to his office, discouraged. Maybe that woman hadn't given her real name. Or maybe she worked somewhere else, outside of Manhattan. "Mr. Carter," his secretary Linda said, putting files on his desk. "Tomorrow is Carter Industries' monthly meeting. You need to prepare." Frank nodded, but his mind was elsewhere. That warm smile, that sincere voice. He wanted to see her again. The next morning, as he set out with Diego, Frank said, "Today is our last try. If we don't find her, we'll give up." When they entered a small street near Union Square, Frank saw a sign for Sweet Dreams Bakery on the corner. Frank's heart raced. "Stop here." As he approached the window, he could see inside. A woman with her back turned was working at the counter. She had brown hair and a height similar to Mira's. Frank took a deep breath and opened the door. When the bell rang, the woman turned around. Mira! The young woman looked at him in shock. Frank? How did you? I was looking for you, Frank said, smiling. I've been searching all of Manhattan for 3 days. Mira was still in shock. But I only knew your name. You said Sweet Dreams Bakery. I finally found the right place. Just then, an elderly Chinese woman emerged from the back. Mira, who is this? Mrs. Chen, this is Frank. We met on the metro. Ah. Mrs. Chen nodded in understanding. You're that kind-hearted customer. Mira told me about you. Welcome. Frank was relieved. At least Mira had told Mrs. Chen about him. I don't want to bother you, but… No bother. Mrs. Chen laughed. Mira, make him some coffee. I'll check the storage. Mira was still looking at Frank in amazement. Did you really search for 3 days? Yes, I wanted to thank you. And… Frank hesitated. Honestly, I wanted to see you again. Mira blushed slightly. Sit over there. I'll make coffee. Frank sat at one of the small tables. The bakery was warm and cozy. Various pastries were displayed in the case, and old family photos adorned the walls. Frank watched Mira carefully prepare the coffee. There was an art to her movements. Is this your special blend? Frank asked after tasting the coffee. Yes, did you like it? Magnificent. You're really talented. Mira smiled. Thank you. So, how do you feel? You were in bad shape last night. Much better. I went to the doctor and everything's fine. Frank looked into Mira's eyes. But most of all, I'm happy to see you again. Frank. Mira was embarrassed. I know it's sudden, but the kindness you showed me that night really affected me. The next morning at exactly 9 a.m., Frank entered Sweet Dreams Bakery. Mira was working with the coffee machine at the counter when she looked up and saw him, surprised. Frank? This early? Good morning, Mira. As I said yesterday, I came for some of that wonderful coffee. He sat at the corner table with a smile. Mrs. Chen came from the back and was happy to see him. Ah, yesterday's gentleman. Welcome, son. Mira, make him your special blend. While Mira prepared the coffee, Frank examined the bakery more closely. It was small, but very warm. Fresh donuts, muffins, and colorful cupcakes were arranged in the display case. Family photos of Mrs. Chen and pictures of Mira's pastries were hung on the walls. Here you go, Mira said, bringing the coffee. You liked it yesterday. Frank took a sip. Perfect. Where did you learn to make this blend? From Mrs. Chen. But I added my own touch, too. Mira smiled proudly. I added a bit of caramel aroma and some special spices. You're really talented. When you open your own bakery, you should definitely keep this coffee on the menu. I hope that day comes, Mira said, her expression dreamy. Just then, the door opened and a middle-aged man entered. Good morning, Mrs. Chen. The usual? Of course, Mr. Rodriguez. Mira, prepare an Americano for Mr. Rodriguez. Frank watched the warm greeting between the customer and Mira. Then a young couple came in, followed by an elderly woman. Each person knew Mira and was joking with her. In this neighborhood bakery, everyone knew each other. You're popular, Frank told Mira as he finished his coffee. I've been working in this neighborhood for 5 years. The customers are like family now. Mira replied while wiping the counter. Where do you work? You said you do consulting, didn't you? Frank hesitated. I work with various companies, mostly from home. That's why my schedule is flexible. What kind of consulting? Business development, strategy, and other boring stuff. Frank wanted to change the subject. How did you get into this business? After I lost my family, I needed a job. Mrs. Chen gave me a chance even though I had no experience. Mira's voice softened. I struggled a lot in the beginning, but she patiently taught me. Mrs. Chen called from the back. Mira is a very hard-working girl. She was enthusiastic from day one. Frank was impressed. You didn't give up, even during the difficult times. I had no other choice. But now I really love this job. Mira looked into Frank's eyes. Have you ever been in a difficult situation? Frank thought. He had never experienced financial difficulties, but his relationship with his father. I've had family problems. My father and I don't get along well. I'm sorry. What do you disagree about? He wants different things from me. I want a simpler life. Frank was really starting to think that way. Mira nodded, understanding. Sometimes the people closest to us understand us the least. The door opened again, and a young man in a suit entered. He was talking on the phone. Yes, bro. I prepared the reports. I'll present them this afternoon. The man was surprised when he saw Frank. Frank Carter? Bro, what are you doing here? You're confusing me with someone else, Frank quickly interjected. My name is Frank Johnson. The man looked confused. But you're from Carter Industries. Your coffee is ready, Mira called to the man. Americano. Do you want it with sugar? The man was still looking at Frank, but he changed the subject when Mira spoke up. He took his coffee and left. Strange, Mira said thoughtfully. He seemed to know you. Sometimes people seem familiar. The disadvantage of a big city, Frank said while preparing to leave. Frank said, preparing to leave. I should go. You have work. Will you come again tomorrow? Mira asked shyly. Frank smiled. Of course. I'm addicted to this coffee now. As he left the bakery, Frank was thoughtful. Fortunately, Mira couldn't grasp the situation, but that man had recognized him. But if he came this often, sooner or later his identity would be revealed. Diego was waiting in the car. How was it, Mr. Carter? Good, Diego. Same time tomorrow. Will we come every day? Frank looked at the bakery through the window. Mira was smiling as she served customers. Yes, every day. The next morning, Frank arrived at 9 a.m. Mira's face lit up when she saw him. Good morning. You kept your word. I keep my promises. Frank sat at his usual table. Honestly, I missed this coffee. The conversation was more relaxed this time. Mira told him about her arrival in New York and her first jobs. Frank listened to her, asking careful questions. Frank was amazed by the sincerity in the woman's life story. Have you ever been married? Mira asked boldly. No, I haven't found the right person yet. Frank gave her a meaningful look. What about you? I was engaged once, but it didn't work out. He was more focused on work. Mira shrugged. I'm not in a hurry about this anymore. Frank was pleased with her answer. He showed up on the third day too. And on the fourth day too. Mrs. Chen was waiting for him with her coffee ready. Other customers knew him now. Frank is now a member of the family, Mrs. Chen laughed. He comes every morning and chats with Mira. Frank loved this routine. The time he spent with Mira in this sincere environment, away from the complex business world, made him happy. But, at the same time, hiding his identity was becoming more difficult. Do you think it's right for Frank to hide his real identity? If you were in his place, what would you do? Let's discuss in the comments. In our next story, we'll reveal the dramatic past of a millionaire whose ex-girlfriend crashed his wedding just as he was about to get married. I recommend watching that story too. Yes, where were we? A week had passed, and Frank had become an indispensable customer of Sweet Dreams Bakery. Every morning, he would arrive at 9 o'clock sharp. Mrs. Chen would greet him with, "Good morning, son," and Mira would immediately start preparing her special coffee blend. Your usual corner table is ready, Mira said with a smile as she brought the coffee. Thank you. This coffee is really addictive. As he took his first sip, Frank thought about how carefully Mira prepared it. The secret is mine, Mira said proudly. It's Mrs. Chen's recipe, but I add my own touches too. Just then, the door opened and Mrs. Patterson, a retired teacher and regular customer, entered. Good morning, dear Mira. Prepare my usual tea. Of course, Mrs. Patterson. How are you today? I'm fine, dear. My grandson visited yesterday. I gave him some of your muffins. He liked them very much. Frank was impressed by this warm conversation. Mira wasn't just an employee, she was part of the neighborhood. She knew every customer, remembered their situations, and really cared about them. Where did you learn to be so sincere? Frank asked after Mrs. Patterson left. I didn't learn it. I'm naturally like this. Mira shrugged. I love people. Making them happy makes me happy too. Unfortunately, the business world is generally not like that. Frank said thoughtfully. Which companies do you work with, exactly? Mira asked curiously. Frank hesitated. Various firms. Generally corporate consulting. Strategy development, business process improvement. Sounds complicated. It is. It's a very stressful environment. There's constant competition and chasing money. Frank was really thinking about his life at Carter Industries. Then why do you do it? Family expectations, Frank replied with a bitter smile. My father wants me to be in this business, and I don't want to disappoint him. Mira nodded in understanding. It must be hard, not being able to do what you want. You're lucky. You get to do what you love. Yes, but this is just the beginning. Mira's eyes sparkled. My real dream is to open my own bakery. A small, warm place. My customers will be like family. I'll develop special recipes just for them. That's a wonderful dream. When do you plan to make it happen? I'm trying to save money, but rent in New York is expensive. Mira shrugged, looking sad. Maybe it will take a few more years. But I won't give up. Frank wanted to offer his help, but he couldn't do so now. I'm sure you'll succeed. Something you're so passionate about will definitely come true. The door opened again, and a young mother entered with her little daughter. Mira, Emily wants to say hello to you. Emily, you've grown. Mira stepped out from behind the counter and embraced the little girl. Which cupcake do you want today? The pink one. Emily pointed excitedly. A strawberry cupcake is coming especially for Emily. Mira stroked the girl's hair as she took the cupcake. Frank felt warm watching this scene. Mira was so natural and loving with children. He had never experienced such sincere moments in his own world. After the mother and daughter left, Mira noticed Frank's expression. What are you thinking? I was watching you. Your relationships with people are really special. I love children very much. One day, I hope I'll have children of my own too. I'm sure you'll be a wonderful mother. Mira blushed. Have you ever thought about wanting children? I hadn't thought about it much before, but… Frank looked at Mira. I've been thinking about it more lately. There was a meaningful silence between them. Then Frank stood up. I should go. I've taken too much time. Don't think like that. It's nice that you came here. Really? Really? You changed the energy of this place. I'm more cheerful. Frank smiled. I love this place too. I love you too, he wanted to say, but it was too soon. Will you come again tomorrow? Mira asked hopefully. Of course. This is now the most beautiful part of my day. As Frank left the bakery, Mira waved at him from the window. Diego was waiting for him in the car. How was it, Mr. Carter? Perfect, Diego. This routine is now part of my daily schedule. Same time every day? Yes, and Diego? Yes, sir. Just call me Frank now. Mr. Carter sounds too formal. Diego was surprised, but he smiled. Understood, Frank. Frank took one last look at Sweet Dreams Bakery through the window. Mira was still working at the counter, serving other customers. Just watching her made Frank happy. The next day, Frank was there again at exactly 9 a.m. And the day after that. This morning routine had become the most precious moment of his day. Mira's smile, her warm coffee, and their sincere conversations were things that had never existed in Frank's life before. These were things that had never existed in Frank's life before. You've become part of this place now, Mrs. Chun said, laughing one day. Mira's eyes are always on you too. Mrs. Chun. Mira warned, embarrassed. Frank smiled. This feeling was mutual and was growing stronger every day. That morning, Frank entered Sweet Dreams Bakery with a different energy than usual. There was a determination inside him. Chatting with Mira in the bakery just wasn't enough anymore. Good morning, Mira, he said, standing by the counter instead of sitting at his usual table. Good morning, Frank. Your coffee is ready, but you look different today. Is something wrong? Actually, there's something I want to talk to you about. Frank took a breath. Would you have lunch with me? Mira dropped the coffee cup in her hand and looked at him in shock. Lunch? Yes, just the two of us. I want to get to know you outside the bakery, too. Mrs. Chern called from the back. Mira, don't refuse such a beautiful offer. Mrs. Chen. Mira warned, blushing. Then she turned to Frank. I don't know. I mean, please. Just a simple place for a relaxed conversation. Even just an hour, if you want. Mira hesitated. She could see the sincerity in Frank's eyes. Okay, but I have a condition. It can't be a luxury restaurant. It has to be somewhere ordinary. Frank was relieved. Of course. I know a nice cafe near Central Park, Mama's Kitchen. They serve home-cooked meals. Sounds nice. What time? How about 12:30? I'll pick you up after your lunch break. No, I'll come myself, Mira said quickly. Just give me the address. Frank was a bit surprised, but he didn't insist. 245 Columbus Avenue. There's a small yellow sign. Okay, I'll be there at 12:30. As Frank drank his coffee and left, he felt excited. This would be their first real date. As lunchtime approached, Frank reserved a table at Mama's Kitchen. The small cafe, a family business, had a warm atmosphere with checkered tablecloths and old family photos on the walls. Mira arrived at 12:30. She wore a light blue dress and pulled her hair back. Frank stood up when he saw her. You look beautiful, he said. Thank you. Mira looked around. This place is really cozy. How did you find it? I sometimes take walks around here, Frank lied. Actually, he had Diego do the research. The waiter came and took their orders. Mira chose a simple salad and Frank opted for homemade meatballs. Do you explore this area often? Mira asked curiously. Actually, my work is usually around Midtown, but I find this area more peaceful. Frank was telling the truth. Carter Industries was on the Upper East Side, but he couldn't mention that. I love Central Park too. Especially in autumn, when the leaves are colorful. When did you come to New York? 5 years ago. My family. Mira's voice lowered. My family lived in Pittsburgh. After the fire, I wanted to make a fresh start here. Frank's heart tightened. That must have been very difficult. At that age, all alone. I was 22. I was young, but I had to do it. I didn't know anyone here. I just had some money in my bag. Mira looked directly into Frank's eyes. I spent my first night at Grand Central Station. At Grand Central? Frank was shocked. Yes, I didn't know where to go. The next day, as I was passing by Mrs. Chen's bakery, I saw the help wanted sign. I had no experience, but she gave me a chance. Frank was impressed. Compared to his own life, what Mira had been through was so much more difficult. You're truly a strong person. I had no other choice. Either I would stand up or... Mira shrugged. I chose to stand up. If you don't want to talk about your family... No, it's okay. I can talk about it more easily now. Mira smiled. You don't talk much about your family. Why? Frank hesitated. He had expected this question, but answering it was difficult. My father and I don't get along well. He expects different things from me. Like what? He wants me to be more aggressive. He wants me to be ruthless in the business world. I'm not like that. Good thing you're not. Mira reached for Frank's hand. You're very kind and thoughtful. That's a very valuable quality. Frank felt the warmth of Mira's hand. It was their first physical contact. You really understand me. Of course I understand you. You're a good-hearted person, Frank. You don't need to be smart to see that. Their food arrived, but neither of them could focus on eating. There was electricity between them. Have you ever been in a serious relationship? Frank asked courageously. Once. In Pittsburgh during college. David. We were even engaged. Frank's stomach churned. What happened? He was very ambitious. His career was more important than anything else. But I wanted to start a family and spend time together. Mira forced a smile. After the fire, instead of being supportive, he said I needed to make money. That's when I realized he didn't really love me. That must have been very painful. It was. But maybe it was for the best. Now, I know what I want. What do you want? Frank held his breath. I want someone who accepts me as I am. Someone who supports my dreams and stands by me. Mira looked into Frank's eyes. What do you want? Frank thought. He had never asked himself this question before. I want something real. I want a relationship that's not fake, that's genuine. I want someone I can share ordinary moments of beauty with. That's beautifully said. Mira, Frank couldn't finish his sentence. What? I really like you. Very much. Mira blushed but smiled. I like you too, Frank. Really? Really? Since you came into my life, everything has been more colorful. Frank extended his hand across the table. Mira didn't hesitate, she placed her hand in his. They intertwined their fingers. This feels so right, Frank whispered. Yes, Mira whispered back. Very right. After lunch, they walked to Central Park together, hand in hand. Hand in hand, they walked silently. There was no need to talk, everything was perfect. Let me walk you to the bakery, Frank offered. No, I'll take the subway. I'm used to it. Are you sure? I'm sure. But this is very beautiful, Frank. Thank you so much. Mira approached Frank and kissed his cheek. Frank's heart started beating wildly. See you tomorrow, she said, smiling as she walked away. Frank stood there, touching his cheek. It was the most beautiful lunch of his life. 3 weeks passed, and Frank and Mira began regularly meeting up. Frank continued going to the bakery every morning and spending afternoons with Mira on weekends. They went to the movies, parks, and small cafes. On this Saturday afternoon, Frank was waiting for Mira at Pier 17. As always, Mira was dressed simply yet elegantly in a white blouse, blue jeans, and sneakers. Sorry I'm late. Mira came running. There was a delay on the subway. No problem. I just got here too, Frank lied. He had actually arrived half an hour early. What should we do today? Mira looked around. I have a surprise. Let's walk across the Brooklyn Bridge, and then we can explore the little market under it. Sounds wonderful. While walking on the bridge, Frank held Mira's hand. This had now become a natural gesture. They chatted while taking in the view of Manhattan's skyline. Frank, I'm curious about something, Mira said, stopping. What? Do you always have such flexible hours? Don't you ever go to the office? Frank's heart raced. As he thought about how to answer, consulting work is like that. I do most of my work from home. Which companies do you work with exactly? Various firms. Generally, holding companies and strategic consulting firms. Frank was giving vague answers. Mira frowned. Haven't your clients called you? It's been such a long time. I'm between projects. Frank wanted to change the subject. How do you get along so well with Mrs. Chen? She became like a mother to me. She never had children, and I lost my family. We complete each other. Mira smiled. In the evenings, she tries to teach me Chinese, and I teach her English slang. Frank laughed. That's so sweet. I wish I had such a relationship with my family. Have you ever talked to your father about fixing things between you? No. He's a very rigid person. He only accepts what he wants. Maybe you should take the first step. Sometimes adults, because of their pride. Just then, Frank's phone rang. Richard Carter was displayed on the screen. Frank immediately hung up and put his phone on silent. It wasn't important, he said. However, Mira had noticed his expression change suddenly. While exploring the market, Frank kept looking around. He was afraid of running into someone he knew. Mira sensed this tension. Is everything okay? You seem a bit tense. I'm fine. Just a little tired. They were sitting on a bench in Brooklyn Bridge Park. As Frank caressed Mira's hand, he said, I want to ask you something. Ask. This situation between us, how do you see it? Mira looked into Frank's eyes. I'm very happy, Frank. Since you came into my life, everything has been different. I feel the same way. Frank moved closer. Mira, His phone rang again. This time, Diego was displayed. Frank tried to hang up, but Mira had seen it. Who's Diego? Frank froze. A friend. Why aren't you answering? It's not important. Right now, only you matter. Frank moved closer to Mira and kissed her. It was their first kiss. Mira was surprised at first, but then she responded. It was a long, passionate kiss. When they pulled away, they were both breathless. That was beautiful, Mira whispered. You're beautiful, Frank said, pressing his forehead against hers. That evening, while walking Mira to the subway station, Frank said, I might not be able to come to the bakery tomorrow. Why? I have a business meeting. But shall we meet in the evening? Sure. Where? I'll call you, okay? Mira was a bit surprised. Okay, but Frank. What? Are you telling me everything? Frank's heart stopped. What do you mean? I don't know. Sometimes. I feel like you're hiding something. Frank took Mira's hands. I love you, Mira. Just know that. I love you too, Mira said, smiling, though the doubt in her eyes hadn't completely disappeared. When her subway arrived, she waved at Frank. As Frank watched her from the window, he felt guilty. It was difficult to continue lying to Mira, but he was afraid of losing her if he told the truth. The next day, Frank was distracted during the meeting at Carter Industries. While his father, Richard Carter, was explaining the company's quarterly results, Frank's mind was on Mira. Frank, are you listening? Richard snapped harshly. Sorry, Dad. I'm a bit tired. This has been happening too often lately. What's wrong with you? Nothing. Just. Look, son. You have a future in this company. But you won't get anywhere with these distractions. Frank nodded, but his mind was still on Mira. Every moment with her, every touch. He didn't know how to build a bridge between his world and hers. His hands shook as he called her that evening. Frank, how did your meeting go? It went well. Shall we meet? How about Central Park, in that meadow you like? Okay, I'll be there in an hour. As Frank hung up, he was thoughtful. His love for Mira grew every day, but so did the lies. Sooner or later, the truth would come out. It only seized the results. Sebastian was helpless. Maya was right. He had no chance of winning in court. Maya, please. They're happy. They love me. Temporary. You'll abandon them anyway. No, I won't. You will. Because that's your nature. Sebastian approached her. Maya, I love you. Maya laughed bitterly. Lies. You don't love anyone. I do. Both you and the girls. Then why did you wait 20 years? Sebastian couldn't answer. Maya took her bag. That's why. You only love yourself. Maya, wait. No, Sebastian. This time I'm leaving. What about the girls? I'll take them and go far away. Sebastian panicked. Where? Away from you. Very far away. Maya, please. They love it here. They have friends. They'll make new friends. What about me? I've gotten used to them. Maya turned and looked at him. You lived without them for 20 years. You can live another 20 years. Sebastian collapsed. Maya, I can't live without them anymore. You'll learn. Maya walked toward the door. Maya! Sebastian shouted after her. At least let me say goodbye to them. Maya stopped. No. A clean break is better. They'll look for me. I'll tell them you died. Sebastian was shocked. What? Car accident. Sudden. Painless. Maya, that's so cruel. You were cruel to me too. Maya left through the door and Sebastian was left there alone. He had lost everything. Maya, the girls, his family. And worst of all, he knew it was his own fault. The mistake he made 20 years ago was now destroying him. Sebastian collapsed at his desk and cried. For the first time, he thought he would have a real family. But Maya's revenge plan had ruined everything. Lily and Emma. He would never see them again. And they would think their father was dead. This was the greatest punishment Sebastian could receive. Sebastian didn't go to the office for 3 days. He sat at home thinking about Maya's revenge plan. He was trying to accept the reality of losing the girls. Isn't your Frank more modest? Yes, he's very modest. Mira was thoughtful. After Lisa took her coffee and left, Mira started thinking about these things. Frank's expensive shoes, his perfectly groomed appearance, and his knowledge of restaurants. Could these be coincidences? During her lunch break, Mira decided to go to Wall Street. Finding the Carter Industries building wasn't difficult. It was a huge skyscraper. While waiting in front of the building, she felt a strange excitement. At around 2 o'clock, while watching people come out of the building, she saw him. Frank. But this wasn't the Frank she knew. He was wearing a dark blue suit, a custom-made shirt and shiny leather shoes. Next to him was an older, authoritative man. "Son, there's a meeting with Tokyo clients tomorrow. You need to be ready," the older man said. "I know, Dad. Everything is under control." "Dad." Mira was shocked. Frank said he had problems with his father, yet here they were, working together. A black Mercedes pulled up. The driver got out and opened the door for Frank. As Frank got into the car, Mira could see him clearly. It was definitely him, but a version she had never known. Mira was practically paralyzed. Had Frank lied to her about who he was? Carter Industries. The name sounded familiar. She would look it up online when she got home. That evening, when she opened her laptop and typed Carter Industries Frank, she was shocked by the results. Frank Carter, future CEO of Carter Industries. Frank Carter, son of Richard Carter, works in the company's strategic department. The Carter family is one of New York's richest. There were photos, red carpet events, business meetings, and social media posts. It was all real. Frank had lied to her completely about who he was. Mira picked up her phone and called Frank. "Mira. How are you, darling?" "Frank, we need to talk." Frank could hear the seriousness in her voice. "Is there a problem?" "Yes, there is. A big one. Let's meet tomorrow evening." "Sure, but…" "Washington Square Park, at those benches we like. 8 o'clock. "Mira, what happened?" "From your tone." "We'll talk tomorrow, Frank. Or whatever your name is." Mira hung up. Tears came to her eyes. Could she really have been fooled this easily? Was she that stupid? The next day at the bakery, Mrs. Chun noticed her condition. "Mira, your face is pale. Are you sick?" "No, Mrs. Chun. I learned something about Frank." "What did you learn?" "He lied to me about who he is." Mrs. Chun frowned. "What kind of lie?" "He's rich. Very rich. He's the son of the owner of a huge company. But he told me he was just an ordinary consultant." "Maybe he has a reason." "What reason could be valid, Mrs. Chun?" "Lying to the person you love about who you are." Mrs. Chun was thoughtful. "I don't know, dear. But you should give him a chance. Maybe he has an explanation." That evening, while waiting at Washington Square Park, Mira felt bitter. She loved Frank, but without trust, love was impossible. When Frank arrived, he had a worried expression on his face. "Mira, what happened?" "Your tone on the phone." "Sit down, Frank," Mira said in a cold voice. Frank sat down. "I'm listening. Yesterday afternoon, I was on Wall Street. I saw you in front of the Carter Industries building." Frank's face turned white. "Mira, in your suit with your chauffeur-driven car. Talking to your father. The same father you have problems with, yet you work together. This is very complicated." "Complicated?" Mira's voice rose. "You lied to me about who you are, Frank. You're the son of the owner of Carter Industries. You're a millionaire." Frank bowed his head. "Yes." "Why did you lie to me?" Frank looked at her. There was regret in his eyes. "Because when people learn who I am, everything changes. They start treating me differently." "Do you think I'm different?" "No. You're different. That's why I couldn't tell you the truth. But don't separate the girls from me." Maya was surprised. "Don't you care about Technova?" "No. I only care about you." Maya remained silent for a long time. "Sebastian." "Yes. The girls wonder about you a lot. They ask, where is Sebastian?" Sebastian's heart filled. "Really?" "Yes. And I couldn't tell them you died." "What did you tell them?" "That you were on a business trip. But Emma doesn't believe it." Sebastian smiled. "Emma is a smart girl. Very smart. And very stubborn." "How is Lily?" "She's quieter. But she shows that she misses you." Sebastian's eyes filled with tears. "I miss them too. I miss them every second." Maya looked at him. "Sebastian, if we come back." "Yes. Won't you make mistakes this time?" "Never. I promise." "And will you forgive me? For my revenge." Sebastian was surprised. Are you apologizing to me? Yes. I used the girls against you. That was wrong. Sebastian took her hand. Maya, I forgave you. I already forgave you. Maya was crying now. You really have changed. Yes. You changed me. The girls. The girls, and you. Maya looked at him. Sebastian, I'm still scared. I'm scared too. But let's be scared together. Maya smiled. Maybe we can try. Really? Yes. But very slowly. And no lies this time. No lies, Sebastian repeated. And if you hurt them, I won't hurt them. They're the meaning of my life. Maya stood up. Then come home. The girls want to see you. Sebastian also stood up. Really? Yes. And I want to see you too. Sebastian hugged Maya. Thank you. Thank you for the second chance. This is your last chance, Sebastian. Don't forget. I won't forget. Finally, they could be a real family. But this time in the right way. When they entered Maya's house in Denver, the girls were sitting in the living room watching television. As soon as Emma saw Sebastian, she jumped up. Sebastian. Emma ran and hugged him. You finally came. Frank, come to my office. His father, Richard, sounded stern. When Frank entered his father's large office, Richard was sitting at his desk with a serious expression. Sit down, son. We have things to discuss. Frank sat in the chair across from him. About what? You've been very distracted lately. You can't concentrate in meetings. My private detective found some interesting things. Frank's blood froze. Private detective? Richard took a file out from his desk. Mira Baker, she's 27 years old and works at Sweet Dreams Bakery. Her family died in a fire 5 years ago. She lives alone in a modest apartment in Brooklyn. Stop. Frank jumped up. You have no right to investigate Mira. You're my son, Frank. You carry the Carter name. I have the right to know who you're seeing. This is my private life. There's no such thing as a private life in our family. You're going to head this company one day. Richard looked at the file. This girl is not on your level. Level? Frank was angry. Mira is 1,000 times more valuable than I am. Frank, please be realistic. This girl is poor and uneducated. Stop. Frank slammed his fist on the desk. Don't talk about her like that. Richard was surprised. He had never seen his son this angry. Frank, calm down. I won't calm down. You don't know Mira. She's kind-hearted, hard-working, and honest. And you lied to her about who you are, didn't you? Richard smiled sarcastically. A very honest relationship indeed. Frank was silent. His father was right about this. Look, son, Richard said, softening his voice. I want you to be happy. But you can't build a future with this girl. You come from different worlds. Maybe I want her world. Nonsense. You're a Carter. We have responsibilities and duties to fulfill. I don't want any of this. Frank shouted. I don't want these cold offices, meaningless meetings, or fake people. I don't want any of it. Richard stood up. You don't know what you want, Frank. This girl has clouded your judgment. No, she showed me what's real. If you continue to see this girl, what will you do? Cancel the inheritance. Frank challenged him. If necessary, yes. Frank looked at his father. Cold determination shone in his eyes. Fine. Cancel it. Richard was surprised. What did you say? Cancel my inheritance. Cancel this company, cancel this money. I choose Mira. Frank, you're speaking without thinking. No, for the first time in my life, I'm thinking clearly. Frank headed for the door. I'm leaving. Where are you going? To Mira. I'm going to tell her everything. The truth. Frank slammed the door and left. Richard shouted after him, but he didn't listen. At that moment, at Sweet Dreams Bakery, Mira was trying to serve customers, but her mind was elsewhere. She missed Frank, but at the same time, she didn't know if she could trust him. Mira, a customer is asking for you, Mrs. Chin called out. When she turned around, she saw a middle-aged, well-dressed woman. How can I help you? Are you Mira Baker? Yes, I'm Mira. Do I know you? No, but I know you. I'm Elizabeth Carter, Frank's mother. Mira was shocked. Frank's mother? I mean. Can we talk? Privately? Mira looked at Mrs. Chen. Mrs. Chen, may I take a short break? Of course, dear. Elizabeth and Mira left the bakery and sat in the small park. First, I should mention, Elizabeth began kindly, my husband doesn't know about this visit. Frank's father. Yes, Richard. He's a very rigid man. But I've never seen my son this happy. Mira was surprised. Happy? Frank's eyes light up when he talks about you. I've never seen him so in love before. Elizabeth smiled. Do you love him too? Yes, I love him. But he lied to me. I know. He was wrong. But do you understand why he did it? Mira shook her head. Frank saw throughout his life that people approached him because of his money. Even in college, his friends only wanted to be his friend to get into luxury parties. He had never experienced real love. But I'm not that kind of person. I know. And he knows it too. But he was afraid. He was afraid of losing you. Mira looked at Elizabeth with tears in her eyes. I don't know what to do. Give him another chance, please. I know my son, he's a good person. He just found real love for the first time in his life, and the fear of losing it caused him to make the wrong decisions. What about his father? He won't accept me. Elizabeth took a deep breath. You don't need Richard's approval. Love doesn't need anyone's approval. Just then, Myra's phone rang. Frank was calling. Please answer, Elizabeth pleaded. Mira hesitated, but then she answered the phone. Mira! God, I missed you so much. Please talk to me. Frank. I know I lied. But now I'm going to tell you everything. Everything? Please give me a chance. Mira looked at Elizabeth. The woman looked at her hopefully. Okay, Frank, let's meet. Really? Where? Central Park. That meadow we love. In half an hour. Thank you, Mira. Thank you so much. Mira hung up. Elizabeth smiled. You made the right decision. I hope so. Can I say one more thing? Elizabeth asked, standing up. Sure. Frank had a big fight with his father today. About the inheritance. He said he chose you. Myra's heart raced. Really? Really? This shows how valuable you are to him. As Elizabeth left, Mira stood there, thinking. Had Frank really chosen her? Yes, dear viewers, Mira learned Frank's true identity. Do you think she should continue to trust him? Please share your opinion in the comments below. When she arrived at the meadow in Central Park, she found him sitting there. He had his head in his hands and looked miserable. When he saw her, he jumped up. Mira! You came. I promised. Mira stood distantly. Frank, if you're going to talk, just talk. But this time, I want the truth. Frank took a deep breath. Okay, I'll tell you everything. I won't hide anything. They both sat on the bench. Frank started rubbing his hands together. My name is Frank Carter. I'm Richard Carter's son. Our company is one of the largest manufacturers of industrial materials in America. Mira listened silently. I'm 33 years old and everything was handed to me my whole life. The best schools, the most expensive cars, penthouse apartments. Frank's voice was bitter. But none of it was real. What do you mean? People around me didn't see me as Frank, but as the Carter legacy. My college friends and ex-girlfriends all wanted something from me. Mira frowned. So what did you want? I didn't know. Not until I met you that night. Frank looked at her. At that subway station, you helped me without expecting anything in return. For the first time, someone saw me as a person and not just as a source of money. So you lied. Yes, because I was scared. I thought that if you learned the truth, you would treat me differently, maybe even leave me. Mira stood up and took a few steps away. But Frank, trust is the most important thing in a relationship. I know, and I'm so sorry. Frank also stood up. Every day, I wanted to tell you the truth, but the time I spent with you were the happiest moments of my life. Drinking coffee with you at that bakery and chatting, for the first time I could be myself. Mira turned to look at him. How was that? No pressure, no expectations, no role-playing. Just Frank. Just a man who loves you. Mira's eyes filled with tears. Do you really love me? I love you madly. Frank approached. I love you more than anything. That's why I fought with my father today. Your mother told me. Is it true? About the inheritance. Yes, I told him that thanks to you, I understood what's truly important. Not money, not success, not power. You. Only you. Mira's tears began to fall. Frank. Mira, I know I lied to you, and you might think it's unforgivable. But please, give me one more chance. But what about later? What if the pressure from your family increases? What if you get tired of me? Frank put his hands on Mira's shoulders. Mira, look at me. I resigned from Carter Industries. What? I told my father this morning. I don't want that life anymore. I want to live in your world. But Frank, this is crazy. You taught me what real happiness is, the hours I spent with you at the bakery, the warmth of the customers, and Mrs. Chen's kindness. That's the life I want. Mira looked at him in amazement. Did you do this for me? I did it for myself. But you showed me it was possible. So, what will you do now? How will you live? Frank smiled. Actually, I have a plan. Do you remember that stolen watch I told you about? Yes, your grandfather's watch. That watch is very valuable. If I can get it back, I can sell it and start a small business. Maybe I can become a partner in the bakery you've been dreaming of opening. Mira was surprised. You've really thought everything through, haven't you? Because nothing means anything without you. Mira approached Frank. What if your relationship with your family is completely ruined? My mother understands me. I hope my father will understand in time. But you are my priority. Frank, I love you too. I love you very much. But such big changes. Are you scared? Yes, what if we're wrong? What if this doesn't work? Frank put his hands on Mira's face. Mira, there are never any guarantees in love. But I'm ready to take any risk with you. You've really changed, haven't you? You changed me. You made me a better person. Mira looked into Frank's eyes for a long time. She could see only love there, nothing else. Okay, she finally said. Okay. I'm giving you one more chance. But this time, there can't be any lies between us. I promise. Frank hugged her and lifted her up. No secrets, no lies. Frank, put me down, Mira said, laughing. Frank put her down, but didn't let go of her. Mira, What? I want to marry you, Mira gasped. Frank. I know it's too soon, but I want to spend my life with you. This is so sudden. I'm not rushing. Whenever you're ready. But I want you to know that you are my future. Mira smiled. You're a romantic fool. I'm your fool. Frank leaned down and kissed Mira. This time, nothing was hidden between them. Everything was open and clean. When they broke apart, Frank asked, What do we do now? We get that watch back, Mira said determinedly. And we'll build a new life together. Really? Really? But first, we need to tell Mrs. Chen everything. She's very curious. Frank laughed. Definitely. And Mira? Yes. I love you. I'm saying this as the real Frank. I love you too. The real Frank. They held hands and started walking toward the park. There were no more barriers between them. The 3 days after Frank and Mira reconciled were very happy. Frank came to the bakery every morning, no longer hiding anything. When Mrs. Chen learned what had happened, she was surprised, but then she supported them, saying, Love conquers all. One Saturday morning, while Mira was cleaning, someone knocked on the door. When she opened the door, she saw a man in his 30s wearing a suit. Are you Mira Baker? Yes, I'm Mira. Who are you? I'm Marcus Webb, legal counsel for Carter Industries. Richard Carter has a proposal for you. Mira's heart raced. Frank's father. Yes, may I come in? What we need to discuss is private. Mira hesitated, but then she let the man in. Marcus looked around the living room, taking in the modest furniture, old carpet, and small television. Would you like tea or coffee? Mira asked politely. No, thank you. Let me get straight to the point. Marcus took a file out of his briefcase. Mr. Carter wanted to speak with you personally, but since he is short on time, he sent me. What does he want? Marcus opened the file. First, I'd like to state that Mr. Carter is not pleased with your influence on Frank. What kind of influence? Frank resigned from Carter Industries. He gave up his future inheritance. This is a significant loss. Mira frowned. That was Frank's decision. I didn't tell him anything. We know. But if you hadn't been there, he wouldn't have made this decision. Marcus placed a check on the table. Mr. Carter is making you an offer. Mira looked at the check. She couldn't believe the amount written on it. $500,000. What is this? It's in exchange for you staying away from Frank Carter. Leave New York and move to another city. Build a new life. Mira was shocked. Are you offering me a bribe to leave Frank? I'm not asking you to see this as a bribe. This is a business offer. Frank lost millions of dollars in inheritance because of you. This money is just compensation for some of it. I don't want Frank's money. But you want to open your own bakery, don't you? With this money, you can open a beautiful bakery wherever you want. Mira stood up. Please leave. Ms. Baker, don't rush. Think about it. Frank may be in love now, but eventually he'll miss his wealthy lifestyle. You come from different worlds. I said leave. Marcus left the check on the table. I'm leaving the check here. Think about it for a week. If you truly love Frank, think about his future. After Marcus left, Mira stared at the check. $500,000. She could open her own bakery with this money. But she would lose Frank. She picked up the phone to call Frank, but then she hung up. How would she explain the situation to him? Meanwhile, at Carter Industries, Richard Carter was meeting with his son, Frank. Frank, stop this nonsense. Come back to the company. No, father. My decision is final. You're doing stupid things because of that girl. Don't call Mira that girl. Frank got angry. She's my life. Your life is this company. This family. I want a different life. Richard stood up. Frank, I'm a patient man, but I have limits too. Either you leave this girl alone, or what? You'll have nothing left. No money, no house, no car. Nothing. Frank shrugged. Fine. As long as Mira is with me, I don't need anything. Richard looked at Frank angrily. You'll see, son. That girl will leave you at the first sign of trouble. You're wrong. After Frank left, Richard called his assistant. Linda, call Marcus Webb. Did he talk to Mira Baker? Yes, sir. He came back an hour ago. He delivered the offer. Good. Now we wait. That evening, Mira held the check at home, lost in thought. Should she call Frank and tell him about the situation? Or should she decide alone? The door knocked again. This time it was Frank. Mira, I missed you. He entered and kissed her. I missed you too. Mira had quickly hidden the check in the drawer. I talked to my father again tonight. He still doesn't accept us, but he'll come around. Frank, what if he never understands? He will. When he gets to know you, he'll see how special you are. Mira felt guilty. Should she tell Frank about the check? Frank, because of your father's love for you. Mira, let's drop the topic of my father. That's my problem. Frank put his hands on hers. You're enough for me. That night, after Frank left, Mira couldn't sleep. The check in the drawer wouldn't leave her mind. The next morning, she decided to tell Mrs. Chun about it. Mrs. Chun, may I ask you something? Of course, dear. What happened? Mira took the check out of her bag. When Mrs. Chun saw the amount, her eyes widened. Oh my God! What is this? Frank's father sent it to me. In exchange for leaving Frank. Wow! This is a lot of money. I know. I could open a bakery wherever I want with this money. Mrs. Chen looked at Mira. So, what do you think? I don't know. I love Frank very much, but what if we really are from different worlds? What if we have problems in the future? Mira, look at me. You're choosing between money and love. Which is more valuable? Love, of course, but there's no but. If you love Frank, this money means nothing. At that moment, Frank entered the bakery. Mira tried to hide the check quickly, but Frank saw it. What is this? Frank took the check. $500,000? From whom? Mira was silent. Frank looked at the signature on the check. Is it from my father? Frank, Did he offer you a bribe? Frank turned red with anger. Frank, calm down. Calm down? Did my father give you money to leave me? Yes, but I didn't accept it. Then why didn't you tell me right away? Mira was silent. Frank looked at her with disappointment. You thought about it, didn't you? You considered this offer. Frank, no. Just what, Mira? I just thought about your future. What if we're wrong? What if you can't adapt to this life? Frank stepped back. You don't trust me. I do trust you. But. There's no but, Mira. Frank put the check on the table. Either you trust me or you don't. Frank left the bakery. Mira ran after him. Frank, wait. But he got in his car and drove away. Mira returned to the bakery in tears. Frank had been calling her for 3 days straight. Each time, she immediately hung up. Finally, he decided to go to Sweet Dreams Bakery. When Mrs. Chun saw him, she frowned. You upset Mira. Mrs. Chun, please. I need to talk to her. She's not here. She took sick leave. Frank became worried. Is she sick? What happened? She's not sick. She's just sad. Very sad. Please help me. Where can I find her? Mrs. Chun looked at Frank for a long time. Do you really love her? More than my life. Then go. Brooklyn, 47th Street, number 15. But be careful, that neighborhood isn't safe. Frank thanked her and went there immediately. When he found the building where Mira lived, he was surprised. It was an old, neglected place. As he climbed the stairs, his heart sank. When he knocked on the door, Mira opened it. Her eyes were swollen. It was obvious that she had been crying. Frank? What are you doing here? Mira, please talk to me. There's nothing to talk about. There is. A lot. Frank entered. I was stupid. I was unfair to you. Mira sat on the small couch in the living room. Frank, you were right. I really did consider that offer. Why? Because I'm scared. Mira's eyes filled with tears. I love you, but you're making such big sacrifices. What if you regret it later? Frank sat next to her. Mira, look at me. I'm not afraid of anything except losing you. But your family. My family is my problem. Don't worry about them. Frank, $500,000 is a lot of money. With this money, you can't buy anything valuable without you. Frank put his hands on Mira's. Mira, I promised you. I said there would be no secrets between us. I promised you too. Then let's start over now. No secrets, no doubts. Mira looked into Frank's eyes. Do you really forgive me? I want you to forgive me. I showed that I didn't trust you. Frank. Mira, I love you. I want to marry you. I want to have children with you. I want to grow old with you. Mira began to smile. You're a romantic fool. I'm your fool. Frank leaned down and kissed her. It was a long, loving kiss. What do we do now? Mira asked. First, we send that check back to my father. Then, we'll find Jack and get my watch back. Jack? He's dangerous, Frank. I know, but I need to get my watch back. I need it to build our new life. At that moment, there was a knock at the door. Mira was surprised. Nobody comes here. Frank went to the door and listened. Harsh male voices came from outside. Mira, open the door. Jack is here. Mira's face turned white. That's Jack. Jack. Frank was surprised. The thief, Jack. Also the neighborhood thug. He bothers me. The door started being pounded on. Mira, I know you're inside. Open the door, or I'll break it. Frank got angry. Does this guy bother you? Yes, he constantly asks me out. When I refuse, he threatens me. How long has this been going on? Since I moved here. 5 years. Frank approached the door. Hey, are you Jack? A voice came from outside. Who's that? I'm Frank. Stop banging on the door. Let's talk. Who's Frank? Is he Mira's new boyfriend? Yes, and you're going to stay away from her. Jack laughed. Is the rich kid here? What are you doing in Brooklyn? Frank was surprised. Jack remembered him. Come out and let's talk. Jack shouted. No, Frank. Mira held him back. He's dangerous. He has a gang. I'm not afraid of him. I'm afraid. Please don't go. Frank looked at Mira. There was real fear in her eyes. Okay, I won't go. But this can't continue like this. Mira! Jack shouted again. We'll talk when this rich kid leaves. The voices moved away. Frank looked out the window and saw Jack and two men waiting at the bottom of the street. How long has it been like this? Frank asked. It's always been like this, but lately he comes more often. Mira was trembling. Sometimes he waits under my window at night. This is harassment. Why didn't you report him to the police? The police don't work in this neighborhood. Jack has connections. Frank was furious. This guy stole my watch and bothers you. Do you know him? He's the person who stole my watch. Remember the thief I told you about the night we first met? Mira was shocked. Really? Yes, so I have a score to settle with him, too. Frank, please don't mess with him. He's very dangerous. Mira, this can't go on. You're not safe here. I have no other choice. I'm trying to save money to move, but… You're moving now. Where to? With me. You'll stay at my apartment. Frank, this is so sudden. Mira, this is non-negotiable. You're not safe here alone. At that moment, the phone rang. It was Mira's phone. She didn't recognize the number. Hello? Mira, it's Jack. Listen to me, beautiful. Frank took the phone from her hand. I'm listening. Ah, rich kid. How are you? Still looking for your watch? Yes, I am. And you're going to stay away from Mira. Stay away. Jack laughed. This is my neighborhood, rich kid. You don't belong here. But if you think you own Mira, you're wrong. We'll see about that. When Mira is alone tonight, we'll talk again. The phone hung up. Frank was angry. You're not staying here tonight, he said firmly. Frank. No discussion, Mira. Pack your things. You're staying at my place tonight. But… He stole my watch and harassed you. This ends now. Mira could see Frank's determination. Okay, but what are we going to do? Tonight we'll make our plan. Tomorrow we'll settle the score with Jack. How? Frank smiled, but there was cold determination in his eyes. With the police. The legal way. Are you sure? I'm sure. This guy ruined both our lives. It's over now. While Mira packed her things, Frank looked out the window at the street. Jack was still there, waiting for them. Are you ready? Frank asked. I'm ready. But be careful, Frank. Jack is very cunning. Frank and Mira's love story. Don't worry. We'll do this job right. How will Frank's confrontation with Jack end? Will he be able to get his valuable watch back? Write your predictions in the comments. The next morning, after dropping Mira off safely at her Upper East Side penthouse, Frank went to the police. He met with Detective Maria Rodriguez at the NYPD's Brooklyn precinct. So, this man stole a valuable watch of yours and is harassing your girlfriend? Detective Rodriguez took note. Yes, Jack Morrison. He's been bothering Mira for 5 years. Yesterday, he came to the house and made threats. What's the value of the watch? About $2 million. It's a 1940 Patek Philippe, an antique. Rodriguez raised her eyebrows. That's a lot of money. Do you have evidence that the watch was stolen? It was stolen during the fight. There are no witnesses, but the watch is definitely in his house. How do you know where he lives? My girlfriend lives in the same neighborhood. She knows where Jack lives. Rodriguez thought. Are there any harassment complaints? Mira never filed a complaint. She was scared. I understand. So, what do you want to do now? When you get a search warrant and raid his house, you'll find the watch. Then you can arrest him. Mr. Carter, these things aren't that easy. We need concrete evidence to get a search warrant. Frank was disappointed. So what do you suggest we do? Here's a suggestion. Follow this. Get concrete evidence. Then, we'll take action. Frank was thoughtful as he left the police station. Taking the legal route would take this long. But he had no other choice. At noon, he called Mira and explained the situation. What did the police say? They say they need evidence. I'm going to follow Jack tonight. Frank, no. Don't go alone. Don't worry. I'll just follow him. I won't start a fight. It's dangerous. What if he sees you? He won't see me. I'll go with Diego. We'll watch from a distance. That evening, Frank and Diego went to the neighborhood where Jack lived. They parked the car a short distance away and waited. Mr. Frank, this is risky, Diego said, worried. I know, but I have no other choice. It's for Mira's safety and my watch. At around 9 p.m., Jack came out of his house. 2 other men were with him. They were smoking and talking under the street lamp. Frank tried to listen to them from a distance, but he couldn't hear them clearly. Then, Jack made a phone call. Mira's rich boyfriend went to the police today. Yes, I know. Don't worry. They won't find that watch. I'm hiding it in a different place. Frank got excited. Jack had hidden the watch somewhere else. But where? Jack hung up and turned to his friends. I'm going to that girl's house tonight. I know she's not there. Frank's blood ran cold. Jack was going to Mira's house. I'll sell that watch easily for $2 million. $2 million. I won't need to work for the rest of my life. One of his friends asked, What if you get caught? I won't get caught. I'm hiding the watch in a different place, in my grandfather's old shop. Nobody knows about that place. Frank had heard enough. He had learned where the watch was. Grandfather's old shop. He could go to the police with this information. But at that moment, Jack noticed Frank's car. Hey! That car looks familiar. Frank and Diego immediately realized they had been spotted. Diego, quick! Get out of here! Diego started the engine, but Jack was running toward the car. Stop! You're that rich kid! Diego hit the gas, but Jack had seen the license plate. Damn it! Frank was worried. He recognized us. What are we going to do, Mr. Frank? We're going to the police right away. I found out where Jack hid the watch. When they returned to the police station, Detective Rodriguez was still there. Mr. Carter? What are you doing here at this hour? I found out where the watch is. Jack is hiding it in his grandfather's old shop. How did you find this out? Frank explained the situation. Rodriguez frowned. So you followed him? Yes, but I just listened. Can you get a search warrant now? With this information, yes, I can. But you stay out of this. Okay, but I want to come, too. No, this is police business. Frank insisted. Please. It's my watch, Rodriguez thought. Okay, but you'll stay at a distance. You won't interfere. At midnight, the police raided Jack's grandfather's old shop. Frank was watching from a distance. Shouts came from inside the shop. Stop! Put your hands up! A few minutes later, the police brought Jack out in handcuffs. Then, Rodriguez approached Frank. We found it. She held a small box in her hand. Is this your watch? Frank's eyes lit up when he opened the box. Grandfather Cornelius's Patek Philippe was inside. Yes. This is my watch. Great. Jack Morrison has been arrested. He was arrested on charges of theft and harassment. Frank was relieved. What about his friends? They were arrested too. Mira is safe now. Frank immediately called Mira. Mira, I found the watch. Jack has been arrested. Really? Mira cried with joy. Really? No one can hurt you anymore. Frank, you're amazing. Not me. The police are amazing. But now we're safe. When are you coming back? I'm coming now. I want to hug you. Frank put the watch on his wrist. He thought of his grandfather, Cornelius. Grandpa, thanks to your watch, I'm going to build a new life. With the woman I love. On the way back in the car with Diego, Frank was thoughtful. Diego, let's have the watch appraised tomorrow. Are you going to sell it, Mr. Frank? Yes, with this money, Mira and I will start a new business together. What kind of business? We haven't decided yet, but maybe a bakery. Or maybe something different. The important thing is doing it together. That's beautiful, Mr. Frank. You've changed so much. I hope I've changed for the better. Definitely for the better. When Frank returned to the penthouse, Mira was waiting for him at the door. She ran over and hugged him. Now everything is fine, he said, hugging her tightly. Yes, now there are no more obstacles. So, what do we do now? Frank smiled. Now we plan our future. Together. Where? Wherever you want. Maybe New York, maybe another city. The important thing is that you're happy. I'm happy everywhere with you. Frank kissed Mira. Now they were truly free. 2 months later, Frank and Mira started their new life in Montauk, a town at the tip of Long Island. Frank sold his grandfather's watch for $1.8 million and used the money to buy a small but charming house by the shore. Frank, look at this. Mira excitedly showed him the garden behind the house. We can build a greenhouse here. We can grow our own vegetables. Frank watched Mira with a smile, enjoying her enthusiasm. Whatever you want, darling. This house is your home, too. They had special plans for the ground floor. They were going to open Mira's dream bakery. They had met with architects and designed it. They named it Sweet Dreams Montauk. The contractor is coming tomorrow, Frank said, looking at his documents. The bakery will be ready in 3 months. Really? Mira still couldn't believe it. I'm going to be a bakery owner. Not just a bakery. We're also going to make a small cafe upstairs. People will come to drink coffee and enjoy the sea view. Mira hugged Frank. You're amazing. How did you think of this? You've always loved having intimate conversations with customers. You'll do the same here. But this time, you'll be the boss. That evening, while walking on the beach, Frank took a small box out of his pocket. Mira, wait a minute. What is it? When Frank opened the box, a sparkling diamond ring was inside. Frank. Mira gasped. Mira Baker, will you marry me? Frank got down on one knee. His golden hair shone in the sunset light. I. Mira was in tears. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I want to have children, grow old, and share every moment with you. Yes. Mira shouted. Of course, yes. Frank stood up and placed the ring on Mira's finger. It fit perfectly. It's so beautiful. She stretched out her hand and looked at the ring. You're more beautiful. Frank lifted her up and spun her around. They were both laughing. When will we get married? Mira asked excitedly. Whenever you want. But I have a suggestion. What is it? After the bakery opens. We can have a small ceremony here on the beach. Perfect idea. That night, while Frank was making plans at home, his phone rang. It was Elizabeth Carter. Mom. Frank. How are you, son? I'm doing great, Mom. I proposed to Mira. Really? Congratulations. I'm so happy. Thank you. How are you? How's Dad? Elizabeth hesitated. Frank, your father misses you. Mom. I know. He's trying to understand you. Maybe one day he'll come visit you. He'll come when he's ready. When is the wedding? In 3 months. After the bakery opens. Can I come? Frank smiled. Of course, Mom. You're always welcome. After hanging up, Mira said, Your mother is very loving. Your father will understand in time, too. I hope so. 3 months passed quickly. Sweet Dreams Montauk was ready to open. Downstairs, there were modern ovens and display cases, as well as special areas for confectionery work. Upstairs, there was a cafeteria with a view of the sea. On opening day, the townspeople showed great interest. Mira's handmade cookies, cupcakes, and special coffee blends won everyone's approval. Mira, this cheesecake is magnificent, said their elderly neighbor, Mrs. Patterson. Thank you. It's my own special recipe. Frank watched Mira while she served customers. He could see how happy she was. This was her world, and she was its queen. Frank, Mira called out. That couple is celebrating their wedding anniversary. Make them a special dessert. Frank smiled. Right away, boss. That evening, after the townspeople had left, Frank and Mira sat by the sea and watched the sunset. This feels like a dream, Mira said, resting her head on Frank's shoulder. This is just the beginning. More beautiful days are yet to come. Frank. Do you ever regret giving up your old life? Frank looked at Mira's face. Never. My old life wasn't real. This is real. I feel the same way. Mira, I want to say one more thing. What? I'm not just in love with you. You're my best friend, my partner, my everything. Mira smiled. You're my everything, too. At that moment, Frank's phone rang. Diego was calling. Diego? Is everything okay? Frank, I saw your opening on TV. It looked amazing. Thank you, Diego. How are you? I'm fine, but I have news for you. Your father. Frank focused his attention. What did my father do? He's looking for you. He keeps coming to the office and asking the secretary how to reach you. Frank was surprised. Really? Really? I think he missed you. After hanging up, Frank told Mira about the situation. What do you think? Mira asked. I don't know. Maybe I should give him a chance. You'll talk to him when you're ready. What do you think? It would be nice for you to make peace with your family. But don't rush. The next morning, Frank called his father, Richard. Frank? Son. There was surprise in his father's voice. Hello, Dad. How are you? Are you well? I'm doing great, Dad. Mira and I got engaged. There was a long silence. Congratulations, son. Frank was surprised. He hadn't expected his father to say that. Thank you. Frank, I was wrong. Instead of trying to understand you, I forced my will on you. Dad. No, listen to me. If you're happy, then I'm happy. That's enough. Frank's eyes filled with tears. Really? Really? Maybe one day I'll come visit you. You're always welcome, Dad. I love you, son. I love you too, Dad. After hanging up, Frank hugged Mira. Everything turned out perfectly, he said. Yes, Mira smiled. Now it's really perfect. Frank sacrificed everything for true love. Do you think it's worth making such big sacrifices for love? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss similar romantic stories. 8 months later, wedding preparations were in full swing on Montauk's most beautiful beach. Frank and Mira had spent months planning this day. It would be a simple yet meaningful ceremony. Mira, this dress looks amazing on you. Elizabeth Carter was helping Mira, whom she loved like a daughter, with her wedding dress fitting. Mira looked in the mirror. She wore a simple white dress with lace details and her hair was pulled back with a seashell crown. She felt like a princess. Mrs. Carter, thank you so much. Thank you for finding this dress. Please call me Elizabeth, dear. We're going to be family now. Mrs. Chen entered the bridal shop. Mira. Oh, my girl, how beautiful you are. Mira hugged Mrs. Chen, tears in her eyes. Having you here is very important to me, Mrs. Chen. I'm like your mother. Of course I'll be here. At that moment, Richard Carter arrived. He held a beautiful bouquet of flowers. I want this day to be perfect for you, Mira. Mira hesitantly took the bouquet from Richard. Thank you. Mira, I owe you an apology. I was very rude to you at first. It's in the past. What matters is now. Richard smiled. Frank is very lucky. You're a wonderful woman. Meanwhile, on the beach, Frank was making final preparations. Diego was helping him. Frank, I've never seen you this excited, Diego said, laughing. Because it's the most important day of my life. I'm going to be with Mira forever. You look very happy. Because I'm very happy. I never thought I could be this happy. Frank adjusted his suit. He looked handsome in his navy suit, white shirt and sea blue tie. Guests started arriving. There were townspeople, Sweet Dreams customers, and a few of Frank's former colleagues. There were a total of 50 people, an intimate group. Frank. Mrs. Chen arrived. Is our groom ready? I'm ready, Mrs. Chen. How's Mira? She's very beautiful. Wait until you see her. The wedding officiant took his place in front of the decorated altar on the beach. White fabrics swayed in the wind, and the sound of the ocean was like music. Guests, please take your seats. Diego announced. Frank went to the front of the altar. His heart beat wildly. Diego stood next to him as the best man. The music started to play. First, Elizabeth Carter walked in as a bridesmaid, followed by Mrs. Chin. Then Mira appeared. When Frank saw her, he was taken aback. She was so beautiful that she looked like an angel. Her dress gently swayed in the wind, and her smile lit up the entire beach. When she saw the love in Frank's eyes, Mira felt like the luckiest woman in the world. Frank was crying. "Beautiful," he whispered when she came to his side. "Handsome," Mira whispered back. The wedding officiant began the ceremony. "Dear guests, we are here today to unite Frank Carter and Mira Baker in marriage." Frank and Mira held each other's hands and didn't take their eyes off each other. "Frank Carter, do you take Mira Baker as your wife?" Looking into Mira's eyes, Frank said, "I do. I love her more than my life." "Mira Baker, do you take Frank Carter as your husband?" "I do. I love him more than my life." "The rings." Diego brought the rings. Frank placed the wedding ring on Mira's finger and said, "This ring symbolizes our eternal love." When Mira put the ring on Frank's finger, she said, "I want to spend the rest of my life with you. By the power vested in me, I pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride." Frank embraced Mira and kissed her passionately. The guests applauded and cheered. Mr. and Mrs. Carter. The dinner was held at Sweet Dreams in Montauk. They cut the wedding cake Mira had made herself. It was 3-tiered and sea-themed, and very beautiful. "This cake is amazing," Richard Carter said, praising it. "Everything that comes from Mira's hands is amazing," Frank said proudly. When it was time to dance, Frank and Mira danced together on the beach to "All of Me." "All of Me" played in the background. "This is perfect," Mira said, leaning on Frank's shoulder. "You're perfect." "Frank." "Yes, darling. I have a surprise for you." "What surprise?" Mira smiled and whispered in Frank's ear. "I might be pregnant." Frank stopped. "Really? It's not certain yet, but maybe." Frank lifted Mira up. "This is wonderful. The best wedding gift." "It's still early, though." "It's not early. Perfect timing." 2 years later. On the same beach, Frank and Mira played with their 18-month-old son, Charlie. Charlie was a cute child with golden blonde hair and brown eyes like Mira's. "Daddy." Charlie ran to Frank. "My son." Frank hugged him. Sweet Dreams Montauk had become the most famous bakery in the region. Mira had even written a book, Desserts Made with Love. "Mira, I have more news," Frank said at dinner. "What news?" "Forbes magazine wants to interview you for the Successful Female Entrepreneur article." "Really?" Mira was surprised. "Really? You're a famous pastry chef now." "We're famous," Mira corrected. "This success belongs to both of us." Frank smiled. "Right. Everything belongs to both of us." Charlie laughed in his high chair. Frank and Mira looked at him. "He's our success too," Frank said, caressing Charlie's cheek. "Our biggest success," Mira agreed. That evening, while sitting on the beach and looking at the stars, Mira asked Frank, "Do you ever think about what would have happened if we hadn't met on the subway that night?" "I don't want to think about it. I believe fate brought us together that night." "I believe the same thing." "Mira." "Yes. I love you. Just like the first day I saw you, maybe even more." "I love you too, Frank Carter. Forever." Frank kissed Mira. Meanwhile, Charlie was sleeping at home, the ocean waves were hitting the shore, and the stars were shining. Everything was perfect, and it would stay that way forever.